I'm Martin Smith and this is your MaxiForex Week in Review. Today we'll cover some of the major financial events of the past week and discuss how they impact the global currency markets. But before we cover headlines of the week, let's look at last week's risers and fallers. The euro-dollar pair had a solid performance throughout the week with the exception of Friday. The pair gained 1.76% and was last trading at 148.06. The British pound had a mixed performance this week against the dollar but managed to gain 1.12%, closing at 167.05. And this was the third consecutive week in which the US dollar struggled against the Japanese yen. The pair managed to finish the week trading at 81.18 for a fall of just under 0.8%. The dollar CAD also struggled throughout the week. Overall, the pair lost 0.87% and closed on Friday at 0.9447. Taking a look at commodities now, gold had a great week. By the close of Friday trading, the precious metal had moved up 3.89% to close at $1,563 an ounce. Meanwhile, June crude orders had a mixed performance, but pulled in a gain of just under 1.5% by Friday's close. The orders were last trading at $113.74 a barrel. In the news this week, the Chinese yuan reached 6.5 per dollar for the first time since 1993. This increase was also supported by the assumption of the central bank, which will allow the yuan to appreciate in order to help control the fastest inflation in more than 2 years. This marks the 7th consecutive week of gains for the Chinese currency. This is also the yuan's best run since July 2008. It can be noted that China generally allows their currency to appreciate in the run-up to meetings with the US. This recent appreciation comes on the heels of Vice Premier Wang Qishan's visit to Washington in May, where he will hold talks with Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner. Also worth noting is that the consumer prices in China had risen 5.4% from the previous year in March, exceeding the government's goal of 4% for 2011. Some economists speculate that the inflation is still on the high side when compared to the Chinese government's expectations, and the central bank could be allowing a faster currency appreciation in order to maintain import costs. In regard to China's foreign exchange trade system, the yuan gained 0.16% to 649.10 per dollar in Shanghai before reaching its 17-year high of 648.92. The yuan's reference rate was kept at 649.90 per dollar by the People's Bank of China, which is the strongest since July 2005. However, the currency is allowed to trade up to 0.5% on either side of the set official rate. In news from the US Treasury Department plans to exempt the foreign exchange of forwards and swaps from a majority of the derivative rules needed under the Dodd-Frank Act. They say that the market already meets a majority of the law's objectives. Mary Miller, the Assistant Treasury Secretary, said in a briefing for reporters in Washington that Congress recognizes that the foreign exchange forwards and swaps already reflects many of the Dodd-Frank Act objectives, including high levels of effective risk management, price transparency, and electronic trading. The main benefit in this would be to allow more cost-effective hedging for both corporations and investors, so we'll keep you updated on the developments. Eurozone inflation has risen above the European Central Bank's target of April, which increased the chances of an increased rate in June, despite a weakening of economic sentiment and household demand. Inflation in the 17-nation Eurozone rose 2.8% year-on-year this month from 2.7% a month earlier, the highest level since October 2010, when it was 3.2%. Analysts said the numbers raised odds on a rise in rates for June. The ECB raised its main interest rate from record lows of 1% to 1.25% in April, mostly on concern of the impact on consumer prices, including rising costs of energy and food. Well, that's all we have time for today. We hope you enjoyed our weekly review and we hope you'll join us next week. Until then, be sure to visit us at maxiforex.ru.